The architect hired me to photograph her project. 3 months later, I'm crouched behind her desk at 9 o'clock at night, listening to her ex-husband's fist hit the office door like a hammer, driving nails bang, 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 each blow vibrating through the floor, through my chest, while Elena Rivera stands frozen in the center of the room, whispering, "Don't make a sound." And I'm realizing that falling for her meant risking everything I thought I wanted. But let me back up. My name is Liam Carter. I'm 29 years old, a freelance architectural photographer based in Seattle. And before Elena, I'd convinced myself that commitment was for people who'd figured their lives out. I hadn't. My last relationship with a graphic designer named Megan had ended a year earlier when she'd given me an ultimatum: move in together or move on. I'd chosen move on, not because I didn't care about her, but because the idea of permanence terrified me. My parents had divorced when I was 12, a messy split that turned our house into a war zone for 2 years, lawyers and custody battles, and my mom crying in the kitchen at 2 in the morning. I'd learned early that relationships were temporary, that people left, and the trick was not to need them too much. So I kept things casual. I took jobs, took photos, took relationships as far as the exit sign, then walked away before anyone could walk away from me. I also drank too much. Not every night, but enough nights that I'd wake up Sunday morning with empties on the coffee table and a text thread I didn't remember sending. I told myself it was social, that everyone in their 20s drank like this. But Megan had called it a problem. "You use it to avoid feeling anything real," she'd said during our last fight, her voice breaking. I'd told her she was overreacting. She'd told me to grow up. We hadn't spoken since. I met Elena because my friend Josh worked at her firm Rivera and Associates, a boutique architecture studio in Capitol Hill that specialized in sustainable residential design. He'd mentioned they needed a photographer for a big project, a modern house in the San Juan Islands that was about to be featured in Dwell magazine. I sent over my portfolio, got a call 2 days later from a woman with a voice like dark honey, low and rich and deliberate. The kind of voice that made you want to lean in closer, and showed up at her office on a Thursday morning in late September with my camera bag and no idea what I was walking into. Elena Rivera was not what I expected. I'd Googled her before the meeting, saw the awards, the TED Talk about sustainable design, the profile in Architectural Digest, but the photos didn't capture the presence she had in person. She was tall, maybe 5'9", with dark hair pulled into a sleek ponytail that showed off the sharp angles of her face, olive skin, brown eyes that looked like they didn't miss much. She wore black jeans, a crisp white button-down with the sleeves rolled to her elbows, and minimalist silver jewelry that caught the light when she moved her hands. I guessed early 40s, maybe a little older. She had the kind of confidence that came from knowing exactly who she was and not apologizing for it. When she extended a hand across her desk, her grip was firm, her palm warm and slightly calloused, like someone who still sketched by hand instead of relying on software. "Liam, thanks for coming in." Her voice was even better in person, textured and warm with a faint Spanish inflection she didn't try to hide. "I've been looking at your portfolio. Your work is stunning. The way you capture light and shadow negative space, the way buildings breathe, it's exactly what I need for this project." "Thank you. I'm excited about it." "Good. Because this project is my baby. 5 years in the making, every detail intentional. I need someone who can see what I see, the way the house sits in the landscape, the way morning light moves through the east-facing glass, the way materials age." She pulled up images on her laptop, turning the screen toward me. The house was incredible: clean lines, floor-to-ceiling windows, natural stone, and weathered cedar that seemed to grow out of the rocky shoreline like it had always been there. "We're shooting on-site next week. 3 days, all weather conditions. I'll need golden hour shots, interiors, architectural details, textures. Can you do it?" She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I felt the weight of her gaze like a physical thing. "I'm very particular about how my work is represented. This isn't just a house to me. It's a statement about how we can live sustainably without sacrificing beauty. If we're going to do this, I need to trust you. Can I trust you, Liam?" The question felt like more than a question, like she was asking something deeper, something I couldn't name. "Yes," I said. "You can trust me." She smiled then, just a small curve of her lips. But it changed her whole face, softened the sharp edges, lit something warm behind her eyes. "Good. Let's make something beautiful together." That first shoot was a revelation. Elena wasn't just an architect. She was an artist who thought in 3 dimensions: in light and structure and negative space. She walked me through every room, explaining the concept, the materials, the intention behind each choice, the way the living room ceiling angled to capture north light, the way the stone floor held warmth from the radiant heating beneath. She had this way of talking about buildings like they were living organisms that responded to their environment, that aged and changed and told stories. And when I looked through my viewfinder, I started to see what she saw. We worked from dawn until dusk that first day, October light slanting through the Douglas firs, the air sharp with salt and cedar. By the time the sun set over Puget Sound, turning the sky into streaks of burnt orange and deep purple, I was exhausted and exhilarated. Elena stood on the deck, her arms crossed, watching the light fade, the wind pulling strands of hair loose from her ponytail. "This is my favorite time," she said softly, almost to herself. I raised my camera and took a shot of her silhouette against the horizon, her profile sharp and thoughtful, the dying light outlining her in gold. She turned, catching me. "What are you doing?" "Documenting the architect." She laughed, and the sound was warm and unexpected, a little husky, like she didn't laugh often enough. "Your trouble, Liam Carter." I've been told that before. We finished the shoot over the next 2 days, and by the end, something had shifted between us. We weren't just client and photographer anymore. We were collaborators, and maybe something more. I caught her watching me when she thought I wasn't looking. She caught me doing the same, and neither of us said anything about it. On the last evening, as we were packing up equipment, the air between us felt charged, electric. She turned to me, wiping dust from her hands, and said, "Can you stay late? I want to go through the shots tonight. Make sure we got everything. I have a meeting with the Dwell editors tomorrow morning." Sure. We drove back to her office in Capitol Hill, a renovated industrial space with exposed brick, soaring ceilings, and huge steel-framed windows that looked out over the city. It was after 8 by the time we got there, the city dark outside, rain starting to fall, that fine Seattle mist that soaked through everything. The office was empty except for us, quiet in a way that felt intimate. She made coffee, real coffee, not the instant stuff. Grinding beans and using a pour-over method that took time and attention, and we sat at her desk, my laptop between us, scrolling through hundreds of images. Our chairs were close enough that our shoulders almost touched. Every time she leaned in to point at the screen, I caught the scent of her cedar and something citrusy, bergamot maybe, layered under the faint smell of rain on wool from her sweater. "There," she said, her finger hovering over an image of the living room bathed in late afternoon light. "That's it. That's exactly what I wanted. You captured the soul of the space." Her hand rested on the desk next to mine, her fingers inches away. I looked at the screen, then at her, and she was already looking at me. The air between us felt thin, like all the oxygen had been sucked out of the room. "Elena," I started, but I didn't know how to finish. "This is a bad idea," she said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "What is? Whatever this is." She gestured between us, the movement small and uncertain. "You're 29. I'm 44. I know. I have a 16-year-old daughter, an ex-husband who still thinks he has a say in my life, a business I've spent 20 years building. I can't afford to." She stopped, biting her lip. To what? To want this. But she did want it. I could see it in her eyes, in the way her breath had quickened, in the way she hadn't moved her hand away from mine. I started to lean in, closing the distance between us, and she mirrored the movement just slightly, just enough that I knew she wanted this too. Our faces were inches apart. I could feel the warmth of her breath. And then she pulled back, abruptly, standing up, putting the desk between us like a barrier. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice tight. "I can't. I'm your client. You're working for me. This crosses too many lines. Elena, I think you should go." I stood there for a moment, my heart hammering, feeling like I'd misread everything. "Okay," I said finally. "I'll send you the edited files tomorrow. Thank you." Her voice was formal now, professional, like she was rebuilding walls in real time. I left. And for the next week, I didn't hear from her. I sent over the edited photos, my best work, each image carefully color-corrected and composed. She responded with a brief email. "Beautiful work. Invoice attached. Thank you." No personal message. No acknowledgement of what had almost happened. I told myself it was for the best. That she was right, we were in different places, different stages of life. She had a kid, an ex, a career. I was a freelancer living in a studio apartment with a futon and secondhand IKEA furniture. It would never work. But I couldn't stop thinking about her. About the way she talked about buildings like they were poetry. About the almost kiss that haunted me. But I knew when to walk away. I'd done it before. I could do it again. 2 weeks later, on a gray Tuesday afternoon, she called. Not emailed. Called. Liam. It's Elena. Just hearing her voice made my chest tighten. Hey, I have another project. A commercial space downtown, a co-working hub in Pioneer Square. Same scope, 3 days. Interiors and exteriors. Moody lighting. Are you available? I knew this wasn't just about a shoot. Yeah, I'm available. Good. Can we meet tomorrow to go over the details? Your office? No. A pause. Let's meet somewhere neutral. There's a coffee shop on Pike. Zeitgeist. 10 a.m. I'll be there. I hung up, staring at my phone, and thought, this is a mistake. Walk away now. But I didn't. The next morning, I showed up at Zeitgeist 10 minutes early, ordered a black coffee I didn't drink, and waited. Elena arrived exactly on time, wearing dark jeans, ankle boots, and a gray cashmere sweater that made her eyes look almost black. Her hair was down today, falling in soft waves past her shoulders. She looked beautiful and tired and guarded. We sat at a corner table, rain streaking the windows, the coffee shop buzzing with students and freelancers tapping on laptops. For a few minutes, we just talked about the project scope, timeline, budget, shot list. Then she set down her coffee and looked at me, and I saw the walls starting to crack. I need to be honest with you. Okay. I haven't stopped thinking about that night. About what almost happened. Me neither. But I'm scared, Liam. Her voice dropped lower, almost raw. I'm 44 years old. My last relationship was a 20-year marriage that ended badly. I have a daughter who's at a vulnerable age, applying to colleges, dealing with her own anxiety about her future. And you, she stopped, shaking her head. You're 29. You're at the beginning of your career. You should be out there, taking risks, dating people your own age, figuring out what you want. Not getting tangled up with someone who's already been through all of that. What if what I want is you? She looked at me, and I saw the conflict in her face, want and fear, tangled together like roots. I don't want to be someone's experiment, someone's older woman phase. I've seen it happen. Younger guy, older woman. It's exciting for a while. And then reality sets in and he realizes he wants someone who can give him kids, someone who's at the same life stage. And I can't go through that. You're not an experiment. How do you know? How do I know? I reached across the table and took her hand. Her skin was cool, her fingers long and elegant. I don't have all the answers, Elena, but I know that the last 2 weeks have been miserable. I know that I think about you constantly. I know that when I'm shooting other projects, I'm thinking about how you'd see the light, what you'd say about the composition. And I know I took a breath. I know this scares the hell out of me too, because I don't do commitment. I've spent my whole adult life avoiding it. But with you, I want to try. She looked at our joined hands, and I saw tears building in her eyes. If we do this, she said slowly, we go slow. We keep it private. No one at the firm can know. Not my daughter. Not David. Not until we figure out what this is. Agreed? And if it stops working, we end it like adults. No drama. No burning bridges. Okay, she squeezed my hand. I can't believe I'm doing this. Me neither. But neither of us let go. Over the next few weeks, we fell into a careful rhythm. She'd hire me for projects, real projects, legitimate work, and we'd spend days on job sites, talking about design principles and photography technique, maintaining professional boundaries in front of contractors and clients. But after, when we were alone, the boundaries would blur. We'd get coffee at quiet cafes where no one knew us. We'd sit in her car after site visits, talking until the windows fogged, our breath visible in the October cold. We didn't kiss. We didn't touch beyond accidental brushes of hands. But the tension between us built like a storm gathering offshore. Then came the Bainbridge project. A waterfront renovation, a 1,970 seconds A-frame that Elena was transforming into something modern and light-filled. We drove out together on a Thursday morning, the sky heavy with rain clouds, the ferry crossing choppy and gray. The house was stunning, perched on a rocky beach, surrounded by madrona trees with their peeling red bark, waves crashing just below the deck. We spent the day shooting, but by late afternoon, the storm hit. Not the usual Seattle drizzle, but a full Pacific gale wind that bent the trees sideways, rain that came in sheets, horizontal and punishing. "We need to wait this out," Elena shouted over the roar of the wind. "There's a small inn up the road, 5 minutes." We drove through the downpour, visibility near zero, and pulled into the gravel lot of a bed and breakfast that looked like it had been there since the 1950 seconds. The proprietor, an older woman with kind eyes, told us they only had one room left. Elena looked at me. I looked at her. "We'll take it," she said. The room was small, almost quaint, a queen bed with a handmade quilt, lace curtains, a window that looked out over the storm-tossed sound. A space heater rattled in the corner. We stood there, soaked through, rain dripping from our jackets onto the hardwood floor. And suddenly the air felt different, charged. We were alone, in a room with one bed, while a storm raged outside. "I'll sleep on the floor," I said, my voice coming out rougher than I intended. "Don't be ridiculous. We're adults." She peeled off her wet jacket, hung it on a hook by the door. Underneath, her sweater was damp, clinging to her shoulders. She caught me looking and smiled a small, knowing smile. "You're staring." "Sorry." "Don't be." She sat on the edge of the bed, pulling off her boots. I did the same, hyper-aware of every movement, every sound, the rain hammering the windows, the creak of the old floorboards, the rustle of fabric. We sat there, side by side, not quite touching, the space heater humming. "This is ridiculous," she said after a long silence. "What is?" "Us. Pretending we don't want what we want." She turned to look at me, and her eyes were darker than I'd ever seen them, pupils blown wide. "I've been thinking about kissing you for weeks, Elena, but I can't. Not yet. Not until I'm sure." "Sure of what?" "That you're not going to run. That I'm not going to ruin my life. That this is real." She reached out and touched my face, her fingers cold against my jaw, tracing the line of my cheekbone. My breath caught. "Is this real, Liam?" "Yes." "How do you know?" "Because I've never felt this terrified of losing something I don't even have yet." She leaned in, and I thought she was going to kiss me. But she didn't. She just rested her forehead against mine, her breath warm on my lips, and whispered, "Not yet, but soon." We stayed like that for a long time. The storm raging outside, the rain turning the windows into rivers. And when we finally pulled apart, the tension hadn't broken. It had only deepened. A week later, Elena invited me to an industry event, the Seattle Architecture Foundation's annual gala at the downtown Hilton. "I need a date," she said, over coffee, her tone carefully casual. "And I thought it would be good for you to network, meet editors, other architects, expand your client base." "Is that the only reason you're inviting me?" She smiled. "No, but it's a good cover story." The gala was everything I expected: wood-paneled ballroom, people in expensive suits and cocktail dresses, champagne flutes and hors d'oeuvres that looked like tiny works of art. Elena wore a black dress that was simple and devastating, her hair swept up, diamond studs in her ears that caught the light. She introduced me to people, architects, developers, magazine editors, and I shook hands and made small talk and tried not to stare at her. But I couldn't help it. She was magnetic in this world, confident and articulate, her voice cutting through the noise of the crowd. Halfway through the evening, I saw him, a man in his late 40s, tall, silver-haired, expensive suit. He approached Elena with the kind of familiarity that made my stomach tighten. "Elena, beautiful as always." His voice was smooth, condescending. "David." Her tone went cold. "I didn't realize you'd be here." "David." Her ex-husband. "I'm on the board now. Didn't you hear?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I wanted to congratulate you on the San Juan project, though I have to say, the photography felt a bit pedestrian. Not quite the level I'd expect from someone of your caliber." Elena's jaw tightened, but before she could respond, I stepped forward. "The photography was mine," I said evenly. David turned to me, eyebrows raised. "And you are?" "Liam Carter, architectural photographer." The one who shot Elena's San Juan house. Ah, David looked me up and down, taking in my rented suit, my age, the presumption of my presence. Well, the dismissal was clear. Elena's hand found mine, her fingers squeezing tight whether to hold me back or anchor herself. I wasn't sure. David, we need to go, she said. There's someone I need to introduce Liam to. Of course. Enjoy your evening? He walked away, and I felt Elena's hand trembling. He's an asshole, I said quietly. And for the record, the photography wasn't pedestrian. It was exactly what the project needed. Your vision. Translated. She looked up at me, her eyes bright. Thank you. For what? For standing up for me. For seeing me. And in that moment, surrounded by people, I wanted to kiss her so badly it hurt. But we didn't. Not there. Not yet. The gala ended at midnight, and we walked out into the Seattle night, rain misting the streets, the city quiet. Elena's heels clicked on the wet pavement. We stopped on the corner, waiting for a rideshare, and she turned to me. I'm tired of waiting, she said. For what? For the right time. For permission. For certainty. She stepped closer, and I could smell her perfume, feel the warmth of her even in the cold night air. I want to kiss you, Liam Carter. Then kiss me. She did. Right there on the corner of 6th and Union, rain falling around us, her hands coming up to frame my face, her mouth soft and insistent against mine, and it was everything I'd been imagining for weeks better. Even. She tasted like champagne and something darker, sweeter. When we finally pulled apart, we were both breathless. Okay, she said, a little dazed. Okay. My place or yours? Mine. Maya's at her dad's this weekend. We went to her house in Wallingford, a sleek, modern design with clean lines and floor-to-ceiling windows. We barely made it inside before we were kissing again, stumbling through the hallway, her hands in my hair, mine on her waist, pulling her closer. We didn't sleep much that night. And when we finally did, tangled together in her bed, the rain still falling outside, I thought, this changes everything. For 3 weeks, it was perfect. We kept it secret. No photos, no public outings. Just stolen moments at her house when Maya was at David's. Late nights at my apartment, early mornings where she'd leave before dawn, so no one would see her car in my lot. We existed in a bubble, and I let myself believe it could last. I should have known better. The first crack came when my friend Josh confronted me at a bar. You're seeing her, aren't you? Elena. I froze, beer halfway to my mouth. What? Come on, man. I've seen the way you look at your phone when you think no one's watching. The way you smile. You're with her. I could have lied. Should have lied, but I didn't. Yeah, we're together. Josh leaned back, whistling low. Jesus, Liam. She's, what, 44? 45? And if you're not, you're wasting her time. I am serious. Are you? Because you've never been serious about anyone. You bailed on Megan after 3 years. What makes this different? I didn't have an answer. Not one that would satisfy him. Or me. The second crack came 2 days later. I tried dating someone else. Not because I wanted to, because I needed to know if what I felt for Elena was real or just infatuation with someone unattainable. 27, worked in tech, met her through a friend of a friend. We went to a brewery in Ballard, sat on the patio under heat lamps, and she was nice, pretty. Talked about her job, her hobbies, her plans to hike the PCT next summer, and I felt nothing. Worse than nothing, I felt like I was betraying Elena just by being there. Every time Sarah laughed, I thought of Elena's laugh. Deeper and rarer and more real. Every time Sarah talked about her favorite TV show, something I'd never heard of, I thought of the way Elena and I could talk about architecture and light, and the way cities changed at night for hours without running out of things to say. You're not really here, are you? Sarah said halfway through her second beer. What? Mentally. You keep checking your phone. You're somewhere else. I'm sorry. I just got out of something recently? Something like that. She smiled, but it was sad. Whoever she is, you should call her. Life's too short to waste time pretending you don't want what you want. I paid the tab, went home, and texted Elena. I miss you, she replied immediately. Come over. When I got to her house, she was waiting on the porch, barefoot, wearing jeans and an oversized sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked younger like this, unguarded. You okay? She asked. Yeah, just needed to see you. She pulled me inside, and we didn't talk. We just held each other. And I thought, I'm in love with her, and I have no idea what to do about it. The third crack came from Maya, Elena's 16-year-old daughter, sharp and perceptive and not as oblivious as we'd thought. It happened on a Tuesday night. I was at Elena's house, Maya was supposed to be at debate practice until 9, and we were in the kitchen, making dinner together, laughing about something stupid. Elena's hand on my waist as she reached past me for the olive oil, and then we heard the front door open. Mom, I'm home early. Coach canceled. Maya stopped dead in the doorway, her backpack sliding off her shoulder, her eyes going wide as she took in the scene. Me, her mom. Too close. Too familiar. Who the hell is this? Her voice was sharp, accusing. Elena stepped back, her face going pale. Maya, this is Liam. I know who he is. The photographer. Why is he in our house? We were just what? Mom, are you dating him? The way she said him was loaded with disgust. Like I was something unclean. Maya, let me explain. Explain what? That you're dating someone who's what? Barely older than me? He's 29. And you're 44. This is disgusting. She grabbed her backpack, turned to leave. Maya, wait, no. I don't want to hear it. I'm going to Dad's. She slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. Elena sank into a chair, her head in her hands. Oh God. Oh God. This is exactly what I was afraid of. She'll calm down. She just needs time. You don't know her. When she's angry, Elena's phone buzzed. A text from David. Maya just showed up crying. She told me everything. We need to talk. Now. Elena looked at me, and I saw the fear in her eyes. He's going to use this against me. In custody. In everything. He can't. Yes, he can. If he convinces a judge I'm making poor decisions, that I'm exposing Maya to inappropriate situations, I'm not inappropriate. You're 29, dating your client. In his eyes, in a lot of people's eyes, this looks. She stopped, her voice breaking. This looks exactly like what Maya said. Disgusting. I knelt in front of her, taking her hands. Then we fight. Together. I can't lose her. Liam, she's all I have. You won't lose her. But I didn't know that. Neither of us did. Over the next week, everything fell apart. Maya refused to talk to Elena. Staying at David's, responding to her mother's texts with one-word answers or silence. David demanded Elena end things with me, threatened to file for full custody, called her judgment into question. Elena spiraled. She stopped eating, stopped sleeping, threw herself into work like it could save her. And I stood on the sidelines, useless, watching the woman I loved break apart. On day 8, Elena called me. Can you come over? When I got there, she was sitting on her couch, her eyes red, a box of tissues on the coffee table. I can't do this anymore, she said. Do what? This. Us. I can't choose between you and my daughter. You shouldn't have to. But I do. Because Maya has made it clear, it's you or her. And I. Her voice broke. I have to choose her. The words hit like a punch. Elena, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I can't lose her. She's 16. She needs me. And if I keep seeing you, I'll lose her. David will make sure of it. So, that's it? We just give up? What else can we do? She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. Tell me, Liam. What else can we do? I didn't have an answer. Because she was right. The choice was impossible. But it wasn't one I could make for her. Okay, I said, standing. If that's what you want, it's not what I want. It's what I have to do. Right. I walked to the door, then stopped. For what it's worth, I love you. And I would have fought for us. But I can't fight for someone who won't fight for herself. I left. And for 3 weeks, I didn't look back. Those 3 weeks were hell. I threw myself into work, took every job I could find, drank too much, slept too little. But I also did something I'd never done before. I didn't run. I didn't look for the next distraction, the next easy exit. Because Josh had been right. I'd spent my whole life bailing when things got hard. But this time, I wanted to be different. I started going to therapy, actually going, not just showing up twice and quitting. Doctor Patel listened to me talk about Elena, about my fear of commitment, about my parents' divorce and the way it had shaped me. You're afraid of becoming like your father, she said, a man who couldn't stay. Yeah, but you're also afraid of becoming like your mother, someone who stayed in something broken because she was too scared to leave. I sat with that, because it was true. So, what do I do? You decide who you want to be, and then you show up as that person, not with words, with actions. With actions. The idea took root. I couldn't fix things with Elena through grand gestures or speeches, but maybe I could show her and Maya that I was serious, that I wasn't going anywhere. I started small. I reached out to David, not through Elena, but directly. I found his email through the Architecture Foundation website and sent him a message. I know you don't know me, but I care about Elena and Maya, and I'd like to talk. No agenda. Just talk. He agreed to meet coffee, downtown, neutral territory. He showed up exactly on time, looking skeptical and guarded. I'll be honest, he said. I think this is a waste of time. You're a kid playing in an adult's world. I'm 29, and I'm not playing. Then what are you doing? I'm trying to be someone worthy of Elena, and part of that means showing Maya and you that I'm not going anywhere, that this isn't a phase or a mistake. David studied me. Elena broke things off with you. I know. So why are you here? Because I love her. And because I think Maya deserves to see her mom happy. Even if that makes things complicated. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, Maya's struggling, not just with you, with everything college applications, anxiety, feeling like her life is changing too fast. And you dating her mom felt like one more thing spinning out of control. I get that. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're a variable she can't predict. She doesn't know if you'll be around in 6 months. Hell, I don't know if you'll be around in 6 months. Then let me prove it. David raised an eyebrow. How? Let me talk to her. Not to convince her. Just to listen. To show her. I'm not the enemy. And if she doesn't want to talk to you, then I'll wait. As long as it takes. He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. I'll ask her. But if she says no, you respect that. I will. 2 days later, I got a text from an unknown number. This is Maya. My dad said you wanted to talk. Fine, but not at my house. Meet me at the Starbucks on 45th. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. I showed up early, ordered a coffee I didn't drink, and waited. Maya arrived at 4:03, her backpack slung over one shoulder, her face guarded. She sat down across from me, crossed her arms. I'm only here because my dad asked me to, not because I want to. I understand. So talk. I took a breath. I'm not here to defend myself or convince you to like me. I'm here because I care about your mom. And I know that my being in her life has caused you pain. And I'm sorry for that. You should be. But I'm not sorry for loving her. And I'm not going away just because it's inconvenient or complicated. She looked at me, her eyes hard. Why her? There are millions of women your age. Why my mom? Because she's brilliant and kind, and she makes me want to be better than I am. And when I'm with her, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. That's a nice speech. It's the truth. So what happens when you get bored? When you realize you want kids and she can't give them to you? When your friends make fun of you for dating someone old enough to be your... She stopped, biting her lip. I don't know what's going to happen 5 years from now, Maya. No one does. But I know that right now, I love your mom. Even if it takes years. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, She's been miserable without you. She tries to hide it, but I can tell. I've been miserable too. Then why are you still apart? Because she chose you. And she was right to. You're her daughter. You come first. But what if I don't want to come first? What if I just want her to be happy? I looked at her, surprised. Do you mean that? I don't know. She wiped her eyes, angry at the tears. I hate this. I hate that you make everything complicated. But I also hate seeing my mom cry every night when she thinks I'm asleep. Then help me fix it. How? Tell her you're okay with this. With us. Not because you have to be, but because you want her to be happy. And if I'm not okay with it, then I'll wait. As long as it takes. She studied me, and I saw her mother in her the same sharp intelligence, the same guarded heart. Okay, she said finally. I'll think about it. But if you hurt her, I will make your life hell. Noted. She stood, slinging her backpack over her shoulder. For the record, I still think this is weird. But my mom deserves to be happy. So, don't screw it up. She left, and I sat there, staring at my cold coffee, and thought, maybe, just maybe. 3 days later, Elena called. Maya talked to me. Yeah? She said. She said she wants me to be happy. That she's willing to give you a chance. I closed my eyes, relief flooding through me. That's good. Liam, I'm sorry for pushing you away, for letting fear make my decisions. You were protecting your daughter. I get it, but I should have fought harder. For us, for what we have. Then fight now. I want to. Me too. But let's be scared together. She laughed, and it was the first time I'd heard her laugh in weeks. Okay. About boundaries, about how to navigate Maya's feelings, about what this relationship would look like going forward, about the fact that we didn't have all the answers, but we were willing to try. And when the talking was done, she kissed me, and it felt like coming home. Over the next few months, we built something. Slowly, carefully. Maya warmed up, asking me awkward questions about my intentions, making me watch her favorite movies as some kind of test. I passed, apparently. David came around too, not warmly, but civilly, acknowledging that I was making an effort. My parents met Elena in December and were skeptical at first. She's how old? But by the end of dinner, my mom pulled me aside and said, she's good for you. Don't let her go. Elena's colleagues found out, and there was gossip, some of it unkind. Whispers about midlife crises and inappropriate relationships. But Elena handled it with grace, reminding people that her personal life was none of their business. And slowly, the gossip faded. We're still together now, 6 months later. The age gap is still there. The complications haven't disappeared. But we talk about them openly. Last week, Elena asked me if I ever thought about kids. Sometimes, I said honestly, but I'm realizing that what I want is changing. And maybe kids aren't part of it. Or maybe they are, in a different way. Maya's already basically an adult. I don't need to be her dad, but I can be someone who supports her. And you, that's fair, she said. As long as you're honest with me, always. She kissed me. And I thought about all the ways this could still go wrong. All the math and biology and societal expectations. And I realized something. Love isn't about having all the answers. It's about being willing to ask the questions together. So yeah, the architect hired me to photograph her project. She asked me to stay late, and I did. And when her ex-husband showed up pounding on the door, demanding answers, I stayed hidden. Not because I was afraid, but because I trusted her to handle it, to choose us. And she did. 3 months later, I'm still here. Not because it's easy, not because we have it all figured out, but because some risks are worth taking, and she's one of them. Love doesn't care about your timeline. It doesn't care about age gaps or what's supposed to happen. It just shows up, inconvenient and terrifying and real, and asks if you're brave enough to say yes. I said yes.